Now, moving on to the next story that I want to share with you. This one is a UAE-based news. Now, before I do share, I want to address the claim that many people have. Oh, you're a UAE hater, or you got kicked out. That is why you're talking bad about UAE. Now, here's the thing. Any country, whether it's India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Philippines, United States, any country in the world, there's no country that is perfect. Each and every country has its problems, has its issues, has its challenges. Okay, so because I was based in UAE for 40 years, I highlight the issues of UAE. That's why I don't speak much about Bahrain, Qatar, Oman, Saudi. I don't know much about those places. I know more about the UAE. Okay, and that is where any of the stories that do come in, or anyone sends me any link, I am able to verify whether the story is true or false. Now, I'm going to read this article that was written by mynewsdesk.com. Okay, listen to the story and then you decide for yourself whether what I'm sharing with you, does it have any legitimacy, does it have any any weightage. Okay, now this is a story about the headline is Indian housewife wrongly jailed in UAE over a bounced check that she never wrote. Okay, so an Indian woman who's based in UAE, she has been jailed for a check that she never wrote. Now, how did this happen? Okay, so her name is Mary D'Souza. She is 57 years old, nearly 60. She is married to Harold D'Souza, and she has been in jail since January of 2018. Okay, so that's nearly 1.5 years. Now, why is she jailed? Now, she had this, see, normally people in the Middle East, especially in UAE, if the husband is working for a company, what he does is, he obviously cannot work for another company, or he cannot run a business because he doesn't want complications with his own company. Obviously, if I'm a CEO of a company and I know that this one of my employees has another company, or the feeling is, oh, he'll be more dedicated to his other business venture, or he wouldn't give me 100%. So it's like more like, being in a marriage relationship and one of the partners has somebody else. So it's people think like that. So this guy, Harold D'Souza, he wanted to start another business venture. So what he did is he opened it in his wife's name. He opened it in Mary's name. The name of the company is Rabahi International. Okay, Rabahi International. So her name got registered on this business license. She has no position. She's not involved in any activity. She doesn't do anything. Okay, so they just opened the company with her name being featured there. She doesn't do anything. So the husband could more or less do the business dealings. Now, Mary's husband, Harold D'Souza, was managing Rabahi. Okay, he used his wife's name to register the company, and he was already employed elsewhere, and he couldn't directly represent or work for the company. So indirectly, this is how he was running the business. Now, he was approached by this guy, Mike Bucky. Okay, remember the name B-A-Q-I, Mike Bucky, who is the director of Spielberger. Okay, now this is a joint venture between Qatari investment, QNAB. Okay, so Mike Bucky, remember that name. So Harold was approached by Mike Bucky, who is a director of a company, and he said, Harold, can you supply some materials to a project where if you supply, you'll get a certain percentage, or you'll get a certain commission. So, I'm not going technically, I'm not reading each and every line. I'm just making you understand the story. So, Harold, being a typical businessman, he was like, okay, fine. If I'm going to get a commission, I don't mind buying the products. I'll send it across to you. You supply to whichever client, you get the money, you give it back to me. Give me the money, I'll pay whomsoever I have to pay, and I keep my commission. So this was what was agreed between them. Now, they had this third party kind of arrangement where, they would buy all the materials through Rabahi, okay? And Rabahi would pay for these materials on the due date. He would supply these goods to Mike. Mikey would supply it to the client. Client would finally use the materials. When he was happy, everything is done, pay Mikey the money. Mikey would pay Harold the money. Harold would pay his suppliers. Everyone's happy. However, as money was being paid, so you remember when fraudsters have to operate, they operate in levels. So if, just to make you understand, if I had to cheat someone, this is understanding of fraud mind. If I had to cheat someone, I would cheat them big time, not something small. So let's say, for example, I would borrow 100 from you and give you 150 and say, keep the 50 as commission. So you'll be like, fucking hell, wow, he borrowed 100 and gave me 50 as commission. Next time I borrow 200 from you and I give you 100 as commission. So you'll be like, wow, again, he gave me 100 extra. Okay, he gave me 50% more. Then I borrow 1,000 from you and give you 500. Then I borrow 10,000 and give you 5,000. So now what has happened is I have kept increasing the amount that I'm borrowing from you, and I've kept increasing the commission that I pay you. So now you not only are having a history of relationships, you not only have proof that whatever I've taken, I've paid you back. You begin to trust me more. You begin to say that, I believe this guy. Okay. So I would do this, let's say for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. I would do it for nearly 8 months. I'd do it for a period of time until one day I would order a really big sum of money. And this is what happened with these guys. So I would borrow a very big sum of money from you and tell you, okay, this time give me $1 million. That is provided you have the capacity, and I'll give you $500,000 as commission, which I've always done. I've given 50% of commission. So you'll be like, wow, even if I don't have $1 million, they would borrow it from someone and they'd make sure they'd give it to you. Why? Because you would be expecting, wow, I'd get 50% extra as commission. So I borrow the 1 million. Imagine, till now my deals have been small. I've taken from 1, I've given you 50 fills. I've taken 10, I've given you 5. I've taken 100, I've given you 50. I've taken 5,000, I've given you 2,500. I've taken 10,000, given you 5,000. But now I've taken such a big amount and I promised to give you 50% back. So you're just waiting when I will give the money. But now I take the money and I run away. Why? Because now I've got what I wanted. All the extra commissions that I paid you, I am able to cover through this big fraud, this one big amount. So they kept, this is the same thing that happened with Harold. This guy, Bucky, he kept taking small amounts and paying him on time, taking small amounts, paying the client, then paying him on time, until finally he took a big amount of 22 million. Okay, he took an amount of 22 million worth of goods, gave it to Mikey. Mikey gave it to the client. Client paid him. But this time when the client paid him, he didn't give the money to Harold. This time he ran away. Now the thing about what Harold had done was, Harold, you need to understand, in Dubai, in UAE, whenever you do business, you hand over people a blank check. You give a check, which is illegal. Huh? Mind you, this is an illegal practice which is followed in the UAE. You give a blank check as security. Now, the thing is, you put your signature, you don't put a date, you give a blank check. Now, the funny thing is, the person who receives a blank check can put any amount. Even though it's written as security check, you can put any amount, you can encash it, it can bounce, and the person who has received the check will go to jail. Now, what happened is, I told you, remember, 22 million he had taken worth of materials. So the company whom he took the 22 million, that is Al Zubair, instead of 22 million, they put 70 million, and they encashed it. They knew it would bounce. It bounced, and obviously the cops or the law got involved because it became a criminal case, because over 200,000 is a criminal case. They came to Rabahi, or the company name, Rabahi. They came to the company. Well, guess what? Whose company is this registered on? It was registered on poor old Mary, not even Harold. So Mary because the company was registered under her name. She got jailed because now she is liable. The company is in her name, and now she is in detention. Now, rather sterling, this lady is pretty famous. She is the CEO of Detained in Dubai. Remember the name, Detained in Dubai. It's this lady, she's from the United States. She keeps fighting for justice for many of such innocent people. She said, an expert report on the case has definitely established that Mary has no connection with this case, and just as other listed partners have no connection with it. Yet Mary is in jail while the other partner was never charged. The alleged culprit, Mike Bucky, has already been arrested. There's no evidence to justify Mary's continued detention. She's the elderly woman who is as much as a victim in this case as a complainant. And the public prosecutor knows this. However, she's still going to be put in jail. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this with you, I want you to read the article, not just listen to what I have to say, is this is the problem. This is the major bloody loophole that is there in UAE, whereby if a company is registered under, let's say, 2-3 partners and one partner runs away, the rest of the other partners are held liable until they catch the culprit. And if they don't know where the culprit is, well, the others have to pay for it. So this is one of the other dangers of running a business in UAE, whereby it's like there's no such law as bankruptcy law, and if you default on payment, it becomes a criminal offense. So this poor lady is still in jail, and nobody knows when she's going to be released. I doubt she would be released, because if she doesn't have a Western passport and she doesn't have a Western government or influential people, I doubt she's ever going to be released, and unless some miracle takes place. So read this article. The link is put down below, and let me know your thoughts as to what do you think of investing money and running a business in the Middle East, not just Dubai, in the Middle East is.